One thing I found in common across all successful projects that I've been involved with is the amount of planning that's gone into the project before we ever started to build. Part of that planning is the mission statement. Our mission statement is part of our good design model. Let's start by looking at good design in a list. You'll notice throughout this course that I do refer to good design in a list, and often the elements in the list change to suit the topic that we're talking about. But presented here is my top 10. First, have a plan. Make sure that your plan is understood and agreed on by all people involved with the project. Your plan, besides your mission statement, should also make sure that you've got the resources for a successful project. You have people involved in the project that have the knowledge to make the project a success, and that you are going to have the support that you need in order to be able to deliver on that plan. Second, follow naming standards. There are many different naming standards out there that you could follow. The important point here is to have a standard that you're going to be consistent with throughout your project. Third item, database objects should not be too general. Don't ever try to fit too much into a database object. We'll talk more about this later, but it's important to make sure that your level of detail is correct, that you're not trying to fit too much or too little into your design. Fourth, consider the level of normalization. This is going to be very dependent on your mission statement, what you're trying to achieve, the level of normalization that's appropriate for this project. Fifth, document, and over-document. I can't stress this enough. Follow relational designs. This means making sure that you have the right level of detail and that you're capturing all information in a logical and retrievable way. Make sure your primary and secondary keys are well understood. Take advantage of built-in tools to reinforce data security. Test your designs. That means with spec-by examples. That means creating user stories. That means understanding how your data is going to be used. And the last, which I think is one of the most critical items, is if the design doesn't work, change it. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Without a plan, you really don't know where you're going. So start with a plan. Understand the purpose and the scope of your project. Write it down and refer to it often. I usually keep a sticky pad near my desk that tells me, stay in scope, deliver under budget. Many projects fail because the scope expands beyond the ability to deliver, or the scope is too narrow to be useful. Here's a couple examples of good mission statements. This project is to collect the data necessary to produce the end-of-month sales report. The assumption here is that the sales report is well understood and defined, and by stating that we need to collect the data to produce that report, we have a good scope for our project. If the data isn't needed to produce that report, it's out of scope for the project. If I need that data to produce the report, it's in scope. Another example would be our data warehouse will capture all information necessary to build a direct interface into the corporate general ledger system. In this example, we're defining as the boundaries of our scope the information that we need in order to feed the general ledger. This is something that should be well understood and documented and will define the scopes of our project. So again, we want to ask the question, if what we're doing is not necessary to deliver the interface to the corporate general ledger, it's out of scope. If it's necessary to deliver, it's in scope. So in short, development of our mission statement is a brief statement that gives us the scope or the boundaries of the project which we're going to be working on. It defines and tells me what it is that we're going to design, how we're going to use that design, and what resources we need in order to be able to achieve a successful project.